Jesus had three very close friends who lived in Bethany. They were Lazarus and his two sisters, Mary and Martha. Just in case anyone's confused about which Mary this was, it is certainly not Jesus' mother, but this Mary once poured perfume on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. So Jesus loved all three of them very much and cared for them a lot. So, one day, while Jesus was on the other side of the Jordan, Mary and Martha sent him an urgent message, saying, "Help! Help, Jesus! Lazarus is very sick! Please come quickly!" The sisters were very scared since Lazarus was throwing up with a very high fever, and it seemed like he wouldn't be able to survive without help. However, who was Jesus? Yes, Jesus was confident that God would be glorified even through this sickness of Lazarus. But you know what's shocking though? Jesus did not go right away when he heard the news. He waited for 2 more days. Wait, why do you guys think that Jesus did not go see Lazarus right away? Did Jesus not love Lazarus enough? Well, we'll see why a bit later, but just letting you guys know that God's timing may be different than our own, but he surely has everything in control. So, after the 2 days, Jesus finally said to his disciples, "It is time. Let's go to Bethany. Lazarus is sleeping, and I'm going to wake him up." The disciples said, "Oh, what? Lazarus was just sleeping this whole time? Jesus, this will only help him get better." But once again, the disciples did not understand what Jesus was saying. So Jesus had to clarify, and he told them clearly, "Oh, no. Lazarus is dead." Look at the disciples' face now. They're so shocked. So, when Jesus arrived at Bethany, Lazarus had already been buried for 4 days. Crowds of people had come to comfort Martha and Mary since they just lost their dear brother. When Martha heard that Jesus had finally come, she rushed to go meet him. Martha said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." However, Jesus assured her, "Oh, don't worry, your brother will live again. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this, Martha?" Martha shouted, "Yes, Jesus, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, so I believe that my brother will rise in the resurrection." Then Martha went to Mary to go tell her that Jesus was here. Mary ran to go see Jesus, and the crowd followed. She fell down at his feet, and she could not stop crying. Mary said, "Lord, if you had been here, our brother would still be alive." Jesus saw how much she was suffering, and so he also began to cry. When the crowd saw his tears, they said, "Wow, Jesus did love Lazarus a lot. But if only Jesus was here to stop this man from dying." And so some wondered, why didn't he save his friend then? You know, Jesus was still very angry and sad about letting Lazarus die, even though he knew that he would raise Lazarus from the dead. That's how much he loved Lazarus. Well, you see, God has his own perfect plans. But since we don't see life through God's perspective, life may seem unfair and scary. But just keep in mind that God has a plan for you and me. So guys, let's not give up. So Jesus went to the tomb where a large stone was covering the entrance. Jesus commanded, "Roll the stone away." But Martha said, "But Jesus, Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. His body has rotted, so it will smell really bad." That did not matter to Jesus, so they rolled the stone away, and Jesus prayed, "Father, thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but I speak aloud so that these people may know that you sent me." Then Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" Then something amazing happened. Lazarus came out of the tomb, still wrapped in the cloths all over his face, hands, and feet. Jesus told the people, "Free him and let him go." Lazarus' sisters were filled with joy. Many people that came to see this believed in Jesus that day. They rejoiced because Lazarus was alive again. Jesus just brought a dead man back alive. I'm pretty sure not a single Marvel superheroes can bring someone back to life. That's hard this is, but when Jesus is here, nothing is impossible. Many who saw this put faith in Jesus, but some went and told the Pharisees. From then on, the Pharisees wanted to kill both Lazarus and Jesus. And that is how this story continues, where Judas, one of Jesus' disciples, ends up betraying him and Jesus dies on the cross. If you guys remember from last week. However, at Jesus' resurrection, Jesus came back to life. He had been crucified and put into a tomb, but he came back to life. And when we believe in Jesus, we can have hope of living with him in heaven forever, even though our bodies may die.
Lazarus. So part of God's story is about how Jesus brought a man back to life. And it goes like this. Jesus had 3 really good friends, Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. One day, Lazarus got really sick. He was so sick that he might die. Mary and Martha knew the only one who could heal Lazarus was Jesus. So they sent someone to find him. They found Jesus traveling and telling people about God. Now, you might think that Jesus would rush to heal his friend, but instead of leaving right away, Jesus stayed where he was for 2 more days. See, Jesus knew something no one else knew. Lazarus had died, but Jesus was going to bring him back to life so that they would believe that Jesus really was the Son of God. When Jesus finally got to Lazarus' house, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Mary and Martha were heartbroken. Martha said, "Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha didn't understand at first. What Jesus meant was that he would actually bring Lazarus back to life here on earth. Jesus was saying, because he's the Son of God, he's more powerful than death. After that, Martha's sister Mary ran to Jesus and fell at his feet. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her crying, he was so sad. In fact, when Jesus came to the tomb where Lazarus was buried, he cried too. His friend, who he loved so much, was dead. Kids, have you ever felt sad because of something that happened to you or someone you cared about? Just like us, Jesus felt pain and sadness because of what happened to his friend. Then Jesus told some people to roll away the big, heavy stone in front of the tomb. He looked up and prayed, "Father, I know that you always hear me." Then he called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And then Lazarus walked out. This man who had been dead for 4 days was now standing in front of everyone, walking and talking and alive. The people were amazed. You see, Jesus knew all along that he could bring Lazarus back to life. Jesus wanted people to see who he was, the Son of God. He wanted people to see God's greatness, that God could do anything, even bring someone back from the dead. And Jesus was about to do something even more incredible. He himself was about to die for us, be buried in a tomb for 3 days, and then come back to life. And he did it to rescue us from all of our pain, sadness, and wrong choices. And when we believe in him, we get to be a part of God's family forever. And that's the story of Lazarus. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Jesus' friend Lazarus got sick. Lazarus died. His sisters were really sad. Jesus was sad too. Jesus brought Lazarus back to life. Later, Jesus died. He came back to life too. And he was able to do it all because he's God's son. And that's a part of God's story.